Should I coach my friends? I think this is such an important question for coaches for two major reasons. Number one, especially in the beginning as a coach, if you can't distinguish your professional service from what friendship is, then you don't really have a business. You don't have a service model. So you really need to be able to distinguish the two. And secondly, for all coaches, you want to be able to know when you're coaching and when you're not, so that you can just be friends with people instead of have to coach everybody all the time. So you, first and foremost, you want to have a distinction between what is it when I'm being a friend and what is it when I'm being a coach. I'm not going to get into that too much in this video, but it is something that you could actually figure out for yourself just by sitting down, writing a line down the center of a piece of paper, and on one side saying, with my friends, I ... and then fill that out, and with my clients, I ... and fill that out. Like, just bring clarity into consciousness, because you probably have a felt sense of the difference, but you might not have a conscious understanding. So do that work on your own. But once you know the difference, then the question is, well, when do I turn it on? When do I do coaching with my friends? Should I coach my friends? And if I do, like, how do I structure that? How do I talk about that? What impact does that have on our friendship? Because inevitably, if you have these skills and abilities and you're out with friends, things are going to come up. People are going to say things, and you're going to have a question to ask or a perspective to share that could be helpful, but it also might not fit at least the environment or even the relationship. So what I have found is actually a lot of clarity through something that my wife created many years ago when we first met and we were business partners, and we were helping single guys in London to connect with women and to create intimacy. And these guys would come to our workshops and they'd have these really toxic frames, and one of them being, I don't want to get stuck in what they called the friend zone. As if like there's a place where you could be in connection or relationship to a woman that's the friend zone, which is distinct from the intimacy zone. And my wife pointed out, like, this is just not how it actually is. She's like, friendship isn't something that's an alternative to intimacy. She said it's part of the path to intimacy. And think about it for a second. I mean, you can obviously be friends with somebody and not be intimate with them, but you can't be really intimate with people without being friends first, at least not in most healthy cases. You're going to be friends before you're intimate. So you can think of it as like the friendship, and this is what she said, friendship is like the waiting room on the way to the doctor's office, right? Like you go there first and then you get into the more intimate setting. And the way that I think about coaching is the same. Like when I think of coaching in the relationship I have with my clients, that's way more than friends, right? Think of like, oh, we're more than friends. We are. Like we're not physically intimate, obviously, but we're emotionally intimate. It's way more challenging. The conversations I have with my clients are way deeper, way more confronting than the ones that I have with my friends. Not categorically yes all the time, but in general. And certainly the frequency and level of it. And my role is obviously different in a coaching relationship. It's an asymmetric relationship. They are the person being served, and I am the person providing the service. In a friendship, it's symmetric. There is a back and forth, a give and take. We're both there helping each other. There might be moments where I'm for you and you're for me, but like it's not asymmetric, it's symmetric. And so the combination of those two, and by the way, I'm not speaking the truth here. I'm sharing a perspective and a frame that generates a sense of clarity for me in navigating what my friendships are, what my coaching relationships are. And it gives me the opportunity to coach my friends in a way that like it acknowledges for me and for them that this isn't friendship, this is more than friendship. We're being more than friends right now. And so if I am coaching my friend and I hold the perspective that coaching is more than friends, then we're going to step beyond friendship into a deeper place than friendship for a while, for a period of time, so that I can help you with this. And then we're going to go back to being friends. Okay, so what's the difference? Well, then you go back to your sheet of paper with the line down the middle and be like, well, we're going to do these things and not that. And for example, when I've had friends that have become clients, we create an agreement that for this period of time, or on these days at this hour, we are not friends. We're more than friends. You're my coach, or I'm your coach, you're my client, and this is my commitment, this is my intention, this is how I'm going to show up, these are the kinds of things I'm going to do, this is what we're going to talk about. And then we go back to being friends, either after that, 7 months or whatever, how long we work together, or after that session. In fact, I've even done things where we've had separate email addresses, like email me at my work for my coaching and the personal email for personal. I find that it's more difficult to kind of turn it on, turn it off, like by email or by hour, than it is to say, for the next 6 months, I'm just your coach, but it depends how close the relationship is. But you need rituals to hold that distinction in place. Obviously, one of the most powerful rituals is payment. So having your friend pay you for coaching, like actual money, creates a real powerful container of commitment for a period of time. I've done that with friends, and I've not done that with friends as well. But what is important is that there is a ritual that is powerful and that establishes a distinction in time and space, that here and now we are doing something that's more than friendship. I'm not here being your friend. I'm here being your coach. I'm going to be more challenging. I'm going to say things that aren't fun necessarily, or I'm going to ask you questions that go beyond the domain of like where we have kind of unconsciously, implicitly said is the domain of our conversation and what we talk about. Because with different friends, you have different depths of conversation, right? Even your friends that you have deep conversation with, you get really into it. Like, I know so many people that I've talked to about their friends are in like a marriage struggle, and they're like opening up with them and they're talking about it, but they're not going to say the thing that would really like poke them or help them, because like we're friends, and that's unconsciously know that that's not really my role. I'm there to be, like, what are you when you're a friend? You're somebody who's to be there for them, to provide comfort, a sense of safety and security, and to be heard. And that's part of it. And if you're the person that's always there to be challenging, like, that person's probably going to go find another friend, because you want to play a friend where you can just like relax, right? And so I love to be able to be that for my friends. And I love to have friends that are that for me. I like to have a place where I can just go and relax and not be challenged. And coaching is challenging, at least in my world it is. So that's one of the major distinctions for me. I'm going to challenge my clients a lot more than my friends. And so, you know, again, these are all ideas, perspectives, potential guidelines. As always, when I have rules and guidelines, I am not following these to a T. You know, they don't have me, I have them. So I utilize them, and I'm always open to changing them or bending them. But what I try to do is to be aware of when I'm doing so, and communicate that explicitly with my friend / client, so that we're both on the same page. I think that's another one of the most important things when you're establishing a different quality or type of relationship with a friend, is to be able to talk about how it's going, checking in, like, how are you doing with this distinction between coaching and friendship? How are you feeling about our friendship? Is this, you know, bleeding into that at all? Are you feeling good about the coaching? Is it distinct enough? Like, just checking in, like, throughout the whole dynamic, the whole time that you're working together. And to have a vision, right, for completion, actually. Like a ritual for this is the end of our coaching, and we won't talk about those things, especially in the way we talked about them in the coaching anymore. And if you ever want to again, then you'll use the key and you'll open up that box and the conversation will start again. And I also, on that note too, like, I would say if I see you out, you know, socializing, I will not talk about the things that we talk about in our coaching context. In that world, it just won't exist. I won't go there. I won't bring it up. I won't ask questions about it. In our coaching session, I may reference something that happened socially, but not vice versa. And then so when we come, you could go back to when we complete our coaching, like we'll close that chapter of our work, and we'll just move on back to being friends. And I'll look to you for help, and you'll look to me for help, and I will provide that in the way that I always have as a friend, but we won't go into the coaching stuff anymore. And so again, that's also to kind of bookend the work with, like, we're entering into something more than friends, and then we're coming out of something that was more than friends, and we're going back to just being friends. That can set you up for, you know, having a vision for coming back to friendship can be a really helpful thing as well. So hope that's helpful. Thank you for listening. Thanks for your questions. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.